you want to get started as a real estate investor, or you want to be a real estate investor, and you've kind of started diving in, but you're feeling frozen. You're feeling completely stuck. You don't know which way to go. You don't know exactly what you're looking for. You don't know what you don't know. And you're constantly being reminded that none of us learned any of this in school. And it's like total overwhelm. Guess what? Welcome to real estate investing. It is, I was about to say, call it an unfortunate trait of the industry. I don't know if I want to call it unfortunate, because I think it really does force people to kind of dive in and explore and really take charge of their own fate. Because, if somebody like a professor or someone is like telling us how to do everything, you're probably not really thinking outside of the box. And honestly, you're going to be the most successful in real estate investing if you think outside the box, or you're at least willing to get creative and make your experience as an investor your own. So you're already, I can hear you saying, you're like, I get all that, like, cool, but I want to get started, but I'm frozen. So I'm going to give you the very short answer solution to this, and then I'm going to expound on it just a little bit. The very short answer, if you're feeling stuck or frozen getting started as a real estate investor, get more knowledge. And I get it. It is not the most fun part of investing. It's like, why would I don't want to sit and read a book. I want to like get into a property. I want to put my money into something. I get it. It's a thing. But 9.5 times out of 10, maybe 10, but I want to, maybe 10 out of 10, but I want to, give a little credit. Like 9 times out of 10, when anyone says to me that they're stuck or they're frozen, or I hear them talking about it or whatever, they just don't know quite enough yet. Because again, it goes back to that overwhelm thing. If you have this whole overwhelming pool of stuff and you're trying to wade through the pool, overwhelm can basically freeze you in your tracks. So you want to get more knowledge, because when you get more knowledge, the path is going to become more clear. You know what you're looking for. It's just not a mystery anymore. Again, this industry is probably one of the most mysterious, because none of us probably heard a lick about it growing up or in school. Thanks, education systems. But get more knowledge, because, so for example, you like get more knowledge on the options, get more knowledge. Maybe there's a couple of as far as like strategies, like what do you want to do? Flip properties, rental properties, landlord, whatever. Learn more about the strategies and pick out 1 or 2 or 3 of the strategies that kind of fit your goals or seem interesting. Dive more into those strategies, learn more. So for example, you want to buy a rental property. Okay, cool. Well, what do you need to know about rental properties? Well, first of all, what makes for a successful rental property versus an unsuccessful one, or unprofitable, profitable versus unprofitable? Figure that out. What are the risks that come with rental properties? List those out. What are the mitigations for each of those risks? Research it, learn them, write those out. How do you run the numbers? Well, learn how to run the numbers. If you learn those things, your picture of what you're doing is going to be so different. You don't have overwhelm at that point, because you've made your own manual, like kind of like your how-to manual. Like, okay, well, I know that a successful rental property is going to do this. I know that the risk involved with rental properties are these. I know ways to counter those risks are these. So ultimately, you're painting a picture of what you're looking for in a rental property. There's not a lot of overwhelm with that. Like, it's very, I mean, the bad news is none of us really know this without figuring out ourselves. The good news is once you know those things, the mystery is kind of out the window. Yeah, freaking nature things could always happen. But when you're willing to learn that much stuff, it's just easy. And the even better news about that is it's not hard to learn that stuff. It doesn't take a 4-year college degree to learn the answers to those things. How to run the numbers, what makes for a good property, what makes for a bad, unprofitable property, what are the risks, what are the mitigations. You can have most of those answers in a week, like, depending on how hard you're researching. So knowledge is key. And I think one of the biggest reasons people completely, well, there's a few reasons why people completely flop in real estate investing, but the first one is just lack of knowledge. One of my favorite examples is people all the time will say, hey, I'm thinking about this property. Do you think it'd be a good investment? Well, do you think it would be a good investment? And they have no idea what constitutes a good investment. So therefore they're asking other people. Well, learn what a good investment in that strategy would be, and you tell me, do you think it would be a good investment? And I tell a lot of people say, like, when's the right time to dive in, because you're not going to learn everything right away, but I don't want to go in without any education. And my answer to that question is the right time to try a property, because again, it's probably not going to be perfect from the get-go. Real estate investing is an on-the-job training kind of thing. So you're going to learn as you go, you're going to make mistakes, but as far as when to start, because again, you don't want to start too soon without any education, is when you can tell me intelligently why you believe this property would be a good investment, you're ready to try it. So if you say, hey, what do you think about this property? I'll say, well, what do you think about this property? I want to hear, what are the numbers? What are the traits about this property that you believe will make it a good, successful, profitable rental property? What risk mitigations are in place? Like, what's your strategy? How do you plan to profit off this property? And that's not hard. If you can answer all of those questions decently intelligently, meaning you've researched those answers, have at it, and you're going to be miles ahead of most people. So again, if you're feeling frozen or overwhelmed and you just can't get your start as an investor, learn more, because 9 times out of 10, it means you just have this wealth of information in front of you and you haven't really organized through it. So hopefully that helps. And yeah, okay, fine. I was about to click the video off, but I'm gonna give you one more kind of piece of advice. So I recently put this out in my new book called Not Your How-To Guide to Real Estate Investing, Life Lessons on Hacking Your Mind Before You Hack Your Wallet. And spoiler alert, there's a how-to guide in there. So it is actually how to get started. And again, it's about getting that knowledge. So I actually happen to have the book right here, in case you're wondering. Link to it on Amazon is in the comments. So I'm just going to tell you the exact how-to guide. So obviously I'm not going to go through the details of each step, but chapters, let's see, chapters 12 through, you'd think I know this, chapters 12 through 17. Yeah, chapters 12 through 17 in the book, each chapter is a step. So I'm just going to tell you what those steps are, and for the details, you'll have to read in the book, mostly because I don't have that much time to do a video. So step 1, so with this idea of knowledge as your key, here's a path to getting the knowledge and really to find out what strategy might be the best for you. And these are going to sound like very basic steps, but you'd be surprised. Step 1, decide what it is you actually want, because that's going to help dictate what strategy you should pick. Because if you want to be a really passive investor, you shouldn't be wholesaling. So decide what it is you really want. Step 2, start exploring. This is a fun part of it, is go through, like, just again, research all the strategies, start just kind of taking in all of the information that you can. Now, if you're feeling frozen, you've probably already started doing that step, but you haven't gone past that step, and that's why you have so much information. Now you're overwhelmed and you have no idea which way to go. So as far as getting out of that overwhelm, the next step is choose your focus. So of all of the things you've learned, you have to pick something to start really diving into, because otherwise you're just not going to get any traction. Like, you don't want to learn a little about a lot. You eventually want to learn a lot about a little, like one strategy, hopefully. So choose your focus. And after that, study up. Learn everything about that focus, that strategy. So let's say you want to flip properties. Again, how do you run the numbers? What makes for a successful flip versus unsuccessful flip? Profitable versus unprofitable? What are the risks? What are those mitigations? That's all you have to do for this, but you need to learn those things. And then next step, make a move. Again, if you can explain all those things, if I say, why do you think it's a good deal? And you can intelligently say those things, try a property. It's time, because otherwise you're just going to get into analysis paralysis. And then the last step is learn and continue. Like I said, you're not going to do it perfect from the get-go. You're going to make mistakes. It's all part of the process. Hopefully the idea is you've learned enough to not make the big mistakes, but you're constantly going to be tweaking it. So, okay, I gave you a slight how-to guide. Go get my book. For the rest of it, again, it sounds really basic, but you'd be surprised. So again, if you're feeling stuck or frozen, you're probably just an information overwhelm. So start answer. I was about to say information overwhelm. It's you're overwhelmed by how much is out there, but you need more knowledge on the information that you're looking at. I kind of said that a little backwards, so you know what I mean. Learn more. It'll help.